I'd like to call the meeting to order. I'd like us to pause to seek guidance, please. Okay, I'll read the mission statement. To provide, promote, or facilitate municipal services that meet the community needs by preserving, supporting, and enhancing quality of life for all. The next is the agenda. Is there any additions or deletions? Hearing none, would someone like to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Is there a seconder?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried. Presentations. The first one is Destination Southwest Nova Scotia. Andrew Fry, President. Would someone like to
I'll
move?
move that Destination Southwest Nova comes forward for a presentation.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried.
First off, good evening, and thank you for providing us with the opportunity to present to council this evening. We certainly appreciate it. Andrew did hand out a package to council this evening, and there is a copy of the PowerPoint presentation in there, so you won't have to scramble for notes unless you'd like to. Also, the new regional guide for 2012 is in the package, and our municipal investment as well. So just an overview of our presentation. We're going to talk about tourism overview in general, our role structure and our role, our situational analysis and overview for 2011, our municipal investment program, why invest in destination, our accountability back to municipal units, and where we took Digby and area in 2011. So just some of our different marketing that we've done. Now I have to try to switch notes and control the computer at the same time. So tourism is part of Nova Scotia Economic and Rural Development and Tourism. It's based in Halifax at the World Trade Convention Center building, and it works with the RTIA's Regional Tourism Industry Associations / DMO's Destination Marketing Organization, who represent the industries. And we are an RTIA. The other ones are Destination Cape Breton, Central Nova Tourism Association, Destination Eastern and Northumberland Shores, and Destination Halifax. Who we are. We are an industry-led tourism, marketing, and management organization known as an RTIA. We are administered by an executive director and governed by a volunteer board of directors. So our board makeup is 2 per region, 1 per sector, and there are 7 sectors represented, 1 Parks Canada representative, and 2 municipal units sit on our board.
Anyone from Digby County?
Yes, we do. We have Karen Enright, and you will see the representation. Karen Enright from the Annapolis Highland Vineyards. Mary Tibbetts is on our board as well. Who else is on our board, Andrew? Digby area.
Digby area?
I think those are our 2 representatives for Digby area. So just to explain a little bit about our regional boundaries, Nova Scotia is divided into 7 tourism regions. We represent 3 of those regions, being this area here, Southwest Nova Scotia. And we worked with Central Nova Tourism Association to provide a seamless approach to the Bay of Fundy for the visitor. In 2010-2011, the board undertook a strategic plan to further develop tourism in our region. There were over 200 responses received from industry in the development of this plan. It is clear from industry at that time that they wanted us to focus on regional marketing, and that is what our focus is moving forward. In the past, we've tried to be everything to everyone, and it hasn't worked, so our focus is regional marketing. The strategic plan, as well as the resulting business plan for 2011-2012 was released last May, which we will be providing an update in June. As to where we met with our goals and objectives. We continue to strengthen the industry through the recommendations in the strategic plan, and our new business plan for 2012-2013 will be released in April. So Destination is the RTIA to the Provincial Department of Tourism, representing, as I said, the Bay of Fundy, Annapolis Valley, Yarmouth and Acadian Shores, and the South Shore. We focus on regional destination marketing, which aligns and supports the provincial brand and their marketing. And in the end, it results in the best return on investment. We have the capacity to leverage our marketing dollars to at least 25 to 50%. And I'll explain that a little bit later. So just to get into a little bit of our situational analysis and overview of our numbers for 2011. As you can see, Atlantic Canada is our largest market share to Nova Scotia, making up over 50%. Ontario, followed by Quebec and Western Canada, makes up the majority of visitation. If we look at that compared, you will see a decrease from Atlantic Canada to Nova Scotia compared to 2011-2010. You will see a slight increase in Quebec, Ontario remains on par, and with the biggest increase being overseas. If we look at visitation by entry points, you will see that it looks like Digby has an 8% decrease. In fact, the year before, they had a 30% increase due to the lack of the ferry coming into Yarmouth. So it's still an increase from where they were in 2008. If we look at our museum sites, you'll see an increase of about 15% in Bay of Fundy and Annapolis Valley, and a decline in the South Shore. When we talk about our visitors, we're talking about guest book signatures in our visitor information centers. Keeping in mind that these are not all of the visitors that we have in our region, but the people that actually sign the guest book. And again, you can see that Atlantic Canada makes up our largest market share, followed by Ontario. If we look at it by region, you'll see an increase in 2011 for the Bay of Fundy and Annapolis Valley. Yarmouth was about on par, and you'll see a decrease in the South Shore. Again, you'll see that our largest makeup is Atlantic Canada, but there did show a decrease in Atlantic Canada's coming into the region. Keeping in mind that perhaps a lot of Nova Scotians were traveling in Nova Scotia and didn't stop at a VIC to sign the guest book. So we have to keep that in mind as well. But it still makes up our largest market share. If we look at our overall budget breakdown, you'll see that 50% of our budget is made up by industry. 9% is made up by municipal units, and 38% is through the provincial economic development and rural tourism through our partnership agreement. If we look specifically at our municipal investment program, you'll see that it's based on a FAIR formula, which will be later described, but it's used on uniform assessment and 50% of population. You'll see that tourism is an effective strategy for rural economic development in Nova Scotia and helps to diversify our economic portfolios, an increasingly important strategy for an increasingly globalized economy, which in end will help supplement the resource-based industries. We can leverage marketing dollars necessary to meet long and short-term goals. It creates an environment to support local businesses, as well as showing leadership to encourage new business within the community. And it helps to sustain and grow the tax base in the region. So based on the formula provided, which is also in your package, that we provide to 28 municipal units, and using the 2012-2013 uniform assessment and the most recent population census, which was 2006, we are requesting $4,821, which has been the consistent figure that we have requested from the municipality of Digby. So you may be asking, why should we invest you? Or why should we continue to invest in you? As I said, we have the capacity to leverage marketing dollars by 50%. No other organization has this ability. For example, if you give us $1, we can turn that into at least $2 to take into market. We market the region, being the Bay of Fundy and Annapolis Valley, and or experiences within the region. We provide editorial profile of each region and experiences in advertisements. We have the market research and staff through skill sets to be in the right market at the right time during the right place. We have the ability to offer reduced pricing on marketing initiatives, and we can grow the tourism industry in the region, which in turn assists in growing the municipal tax base. We also continue to assist with visitor information centers and festivals and events. Our accountability back to you. We have industry and stakeholder meeting opportunities. We have a statistical analysis and profile of our key markets, which is available to you at any time. We provide municipal quarterly reports, which is new for us. We input through participation on operational committees of the organization. So anybody who's a member or partner can join any of our operational committees. You have access to the Partners Portal online, through Visitor Information Center investment, through festivals and events investment program, both cash and in kind. You have access to educational sessions and workshops, i.e. packaging or social media. We have an annual general meeting, which will be coming up on June the 6th, as well as semi-annual meetings in November. We have preferred rates and pricing on conferences available to our partners. We also have package opportunities and itinerary development and assistance, regional meetings and municipal updates. We're just about ready to launch a redeveloped website over the next 2 months, which is really focusing on our visitors, but also provides an update for community pages and anything that you, as municipal units, would want to put on that regional site as well, through linkages, updates on community profiles again. We provide board minutes and updates to each municipal unit that are partners, and we have regular industry communication through our marketing updates and our newsletters. And those go out monthly and bi-weekly. So just a little bit about investment of what we've given back to Digby and area in 2011. Direct cash for VICs, around $21,000. Through marketing, and that is investment. So through some of our marketing that we would have done in New Brunswick, through the Chronicle Herald in Halifax, through other Halifax publications and New Brunswick publications, plus creative editorial writing, design, distribution, etc., around $210,000. Investment into FAMs that we post in the region, around $5,000. Festivals and events funding, and again, that's an application-based program. We put back in around $1,000 of hard cash into the region, and a lot of in-kind support. And some other assistance is just resource facilitation, letters of support, etc. Just a few quick facts. As we know, in general, we have been experiencing a decline and downturn in visitation to Nova Scotia in general. With the loss of the ferry coming into Yarmouth has impacted our region tremendously. The economy, the price of gas, and the Canadian dollar has affected us. However, that being said, we still have a large market share in our regional market, being New Brunswick and Nova Scotians traveling within Nova Scotia. And that's where we will focus our attention moving forward. If we look at Atlantic Canada's, the average that they spend are about $98 per day per person. If we put that into and multiply that by the number of visitors, again, that sign the guest book, into Digby and area, you're looking at around $1.6 million. If they stay one night in the region, based on 43,000 room nights sold last year, you're looking at over $4 million in revenues into the region. If we can continue to grow visitation by 3%, which is what our goal is, you're looking at additional $200,000 per year coming back into your region. It's definitely worthwhile to invest in tourism. Just provide you a little bit of a marketing update. So as I said, one of our operational committees is marketing. And a plan was developed and launched in May 2011. And we do have representatives from the region on our committee. And we focus, as I said, on the target markets of Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, visitors traveling in Nova Scotia, so connecting the dots and keeping them here longer, and then working with Nova Scotia Tourism on Ontario, Quebec, Western Canada, and the U.S. So just a few trade shows of where we took Digby and area last year. The Bangor Travel Show, the Ottawa Travel and Vacation Show, Saltscape's East Coast Expo, Saltscape's Expo in Toronto, the Atlanticade in New Brunswick, the Optimized Health Expo in January in Halifax, the Atlantic Motorcycle and ATV Show in February, and the Toronto Outdoor Show in February. And we worked with CNTA to promote the Bay of Fundy at the outdoor show.
What's the NPA?
Pardon me, Central Nova Tourism Association.
Thank
If we look at print, we did a bundle, what we called a bundle in New Brunswick. So if you purchased a bundle, you receive distribution in the Telegraph Journal, Here Magazine, Times and Transcripts, and the Daily Gleaner. We also participated in the Summer Vacation Guide, which went through Atlantic Canada. The Chronicle Herald, we did 2 different supplements as well as a few 2/3 page ads. And we did use a common URL for each print publication we did so we could track how many people were coming back to that site because it's all about measurement.
I have a question. 588 visits, over what period of time?
It was during the summer, so it would have been July to September for that one.
That's really low.
It's low for that one. But again, marketing is about top of mind. So even though they aren't going to the website specifically, it's top of mind. So it's when we went back in there again, it's just keeping top of mind all the time. For magazines, Travel Guides to Canada, Saltscape's Food and Travel, Progress Top 101, which was focusing on meetings and conventions, so it's the first time we've done that. Halifax Magazine, Summerscapes and Winterscapes, and the Saltscapes, both in July and August and September and October. We also did for the first time billboards in Halifax as a trial, and just a few of the creative coming up. And again, we focus on specific URLs for that. Billboards are very hard to judge because again, it's top of mind, it's awareness. You have to be quick and quick to mind. So when they're driving down the highway, it has to be something that's going to catch them. Now I know with the Cape Wow, we only had 52 hits for the AcadianAdventure.com, but the awareness that built, and when we went around the region and said, I've seen that, I can't believe it looked beautiful. So even though they didn't go to AcadianAdventure.com, they've seen it, and it really kept something in their mind for that. So
How much does it cost for those websites?
for those websites cost around $25 to $40 for us to host those for a year.
Okay, so very
Yeah.
good. Oh, good.
They're more a measurement tool than a
Right.
marketing tool. They allow us to measure the people who saw that ad and actually noted that specific website. Now, while that's not a website that we use in most of our campaigns, it was a mechanism to measure the impact of that particular billboard.
Rather than the hosting fees, I was thinking of what it cost to actually make the website.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Was sort of what I was thinking.
No, this was just, so for example, the SouthShoresPage.com, that's a virtual URL, as Andrew said. So we created a landing page on our existing site. So the people, if they type that in, would go to the landing page, enter for their contest, and then it would link them back to the regional site. So it's not adding another fee, it's just adding a landing page to host that particular one,
Okay.
for tracking again. We also participated with Nova Scotia Webcams. We have 26 webcams in our region, and they're always the top 5 referral sites into our website. So it's definitely worthwhile. And we participated with Bay Ferries Limited in the Maritime Escapes program as well for last year. And that was more of a regional approach. There was mapping on there and different options that you could come back into our website to provide more information for the visitor. We also hosted a concierge program in Halifax. We created the binders along with some information reference material for the region to have available at each concierge desk in Halifax. It was very well received. We also invited them to come to our region and to leave their business card at one of the VICs, and then we would draw at the end so we would know who would travel around our region and who would promote our region to the visitors in Halifax to get them down here. We also hosted several fan tours in our region, the Go Media Fam, Netherlands Fam, and the Travel Writer. Just to name a few. As I mentioned, our regional guides are out for 2012, the earliest that they've been out this year, kind of the beginning of March. And again, we're focusing on the Bay of Fundy, Canada's natural wonder. So again, our board representations are Anna Price, who's in the Annapolis Valley, Councillor Dale Lloyd is one of our municipal reps, Mary Tibbetts, who's here, and Karen Enright. Our BIC task force is Vanessa Roberts and Joanne Kitchell, who's a BIC manager from Bridgetown. On our content, which focuses on doers and dreamers, our regional guide, our website, and editorial review, we have Ken Isles from Mount Uniacke, Mary Tibbetts, Joy O'Neill from Medina, and Marianne Gates from Kings RDA. And our marketing committee currently, Anna Price and Kat McGill from Brock Island. So just in conclusion, I just want to reinforce that we are the only organization funded by the province to deliver provincial RTIA services of destination marketing, festivals, events, and visitor servicing in the region. Our municipal investment program is a program based on a formula, and out of 28 municipal units, 21 participate. We have the ability to leverage cooperative marketing dollars by at least 50%. We've invested over $250,000 in marketing dollars and programs in the region just in 2011. And with Frommer's Lonely Planet, CNN listing Atlantic Canada and the Bay of Fundy as the top travel destination, we're sure thinking that 2012 is going to be a fantastic year. And we will continue to work towards our 3% growth. Anybody have any questions?
Stephanie Wood.
Excuse me, I have a couple, but first I want to say that I'm really happy to see the way you did the book up this year and the way you're promoting the Bay of Fundy.
Thank you.
You couldn't have gotten better publicity in the last year. I mean, that was priceless.
But a couple questions. When you do your room nights and you say you have so many room nights,
Is that, like province-wide, does that include business travel as well as tourism travel?
Yeah, so those room nights, and let me just see if I can find the slide here. Those room nights are specifically for Digby County, those room nights sold. So those would be based on the accommodations that would be in the region. They have to file a report with the department on a monthly basis to see what their occupancy are. So that's where I got those room nights from.
Okay. But when you say Digby County also, you're also including the District of Clare, because there's the District
Yes.
of Clare and the municipality and the town, so it's the 3 units,
Yes,
okay?
so taken Digby County.
All right.
and the only other question I had was, why are you using the 06 census report instead of the 011 one? The 011's been out for a little while now.
Has it? Because,
Yes, yes it has.
okay, my apologies.
Not all.
It's been out for a month, 6 weeks.
Parts of it. The whole thing isn't quite out from what I gather.
I couldn't find anything
Big
in the
parts of it.
community ones,
Well, I've got a
but,
copy of it, but I mean,
Okay.
like, I've seen the 2011.
So the population, the core population stuff, I believe, is out.
Yeah,
But the deeper stuff, I think, is not quite out.
by county, because we do it by county or region.
You can get
we
that.
Okay.
have our information, and we've had a population decline in our municipality of over
Okay.
6%.
So that would be out for sure, you're right. So
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
would be,
That's what I'm saying,
So
that's why
that-
I'm asking the
right.
question, because you're going by the 06 results, and in the last 5 years, we've lost over 6% of our population, so, and if
Okay.
you're using that as, to figure out the equation, it wouldn't be appropriate.
oh, okay,
Okay.
for a formula.
And I guess our formula, we really hasn't, the amount that we're requesting hasn't changed for about 3 or 4 years. So
Right.
that's why we're just continuing to request that at this point until we do a full review of the municipal investment program
All
in
right,
the
Okay.
coming year.
That's a good point, thank you for
Yes,
pointing
but
that out,
thank you.
you're right. Yeah.
Thank you.
that's all I had, thanks.
Anybody else? No further
I don't,
questions?
I don't notice a heck of a lot for whale watching specific. Is it, you're more so focusing on the Bay of Fundy as a whole, or?
No whale watching in the guide. Also on our website, we do focus tremendously on whale watching because it is one of the best drivers to our website that people are looking for. And top of mind, if we're in Ontario or if we're in anybody in any other market, we always go in market with a whale watching shot, without a doubt.
What was I gonna say? Oh, I can't remember now. Oh, it couldn't be too important.
It's the best whale watching in Nova Scotia.
Oh, the websites for these various businesses, do you have any sort of program where you link your website to their website?
We do. So right now, industry want us to be a membership-driven organization. So for $50, you do become a member. Obviously, if the municipality of Digby invests into destination, you're automatically a partner. So there will be links on our site directly to your site, plus any extra in the community profile. So what we are looking at doing in this coming year with the new website is our website currently is not addressing all of the visitors' needs in that we're just listing our members currently. And I always like to use wine making as an example, because we have the best wine region in Nova Scotia, but currently if you go to our site, you may see 2 or 3 listed. Well, that's really not the wine region of Nova Scotia when you look at that. So what we will be doing this year with our new site, which we'll release in about a month and a half, we will be listing all of the businesses in the region, but then those that are members will have a direct link. So everybody will be listed, but then there will be link opportunities.
Something might be worth looking at is the Yukon tourism
Okay.
page, which I find to be just spectacular. And
Okay.
it's very activity-centered. So for example, you want to go, fishing with a particular type of fish, or hunting, or whatever, sightseeing, driving, they list the adventures,
Mhm.
and then the businesses you can get involved with it.
And that's where
I think
the
it's-
site will be as well.
Yeah, I
You take
really
some
liked it. I mean, it was the only tourism website I've ever seen that I really
Okay.
spent my entire time planning my trip on.
Okay. Very good to know. Thank you, because we are just in the final stages, so I will certainly take a look at that. Well,
It's lovely.
but our site will be focused on geographic, so the regions as well by map, but also you can search by experiences. So if you want to do outdoor whale watching, there will be that link that will take you right into all the whale watching operators. So we're excited for the new site. Any other
Is
questions?
there any? I would like to say thank you very much for coming and giving us a presentation.
Thank you so much.
This is how we learn, and we'd like to take the opportunity to say thank you to us.
Perfect. I also just want to make a note, a special note in your package. We have received a joint letter from Nova Scotia Economic and Rural Development and Tourism from the Acting Director of Marketing, just reinforcing that we are the IPAs, that they do work with us, that our role is marketing. So I just want to bring that to your attention. It's a special letter that they've provided to us as well for municipal units. And thank you very much.
I just wanted to thank you for picking that up with the
Yeah.
municipal uniform assessment. I actually just last week was working with some of the StatsCan stuff myself, and I did notice that when you start going into like family and like leisure patterns, the 2011 stuff isn't out yet. But that was very good. It was picked up that we were using the population stuff is out, and that we didn't pick it up there. And I will make sure we correct that and provide an updated estimate to you, and thank you for picking that up.
Thank you.
Clean Annapolis River Project. Lonnie Richards, Executive Director. Could I have someone move?
I so move that Nick Richards come forward from the Clean Annapolis River Project, do a presentation.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried.
Okay, thank you for inviting me to present to council tonight. My name is Monique Bichard, and I am the Executive Director of the Clean Annapolis River Project. In the package that I prepared for you, you will find a proposal in written format that speaks to the presentation that I am doing this evening, as well as what we call our brief, which talks to some of the projects we've done, who we are, some of our notable achievements and awards, and some of our partners that we've had for many years. I've also included, as an example of some of the work that we've been doing, the Annapolis Watershed 2011 report card. This is some monitoring that we've been doing on the Annapolis River for the last 20 years now, and it's a volunteer-based program, so it's quite the great program that we like to celebrate as any opportunity that we can. And then there's also, I was asked to provide you with our financial statement, so there's a copy of that. And there's an introduction document to community-based social marketing, which you might find interesting, which this program that we're proposing this evening is going to be based on. So I call it the Rural H2O Project, or the Rural Water. So first of all, I just want to speak a little bit about who CARP is. We go by the acronym CARP, if you haven't heard that before. We're a charity, or a registered charity with the Canada Revenue Agency, and we're a non-governmental organization, so we're a non-profit as well. Our Our vision is an ecologically healthy Annapolis River watershed, and our mission is to restore and protect the ecological health of the Annapolis River watershed through science, leadership, and community engagement. I didn't include a photo of the watershed, but it extends from Digby to Aylesford. However, we often do programs and projects outside of our watershed boundaries, and the one that I'm speaking to tonight is one of these examples. So it will include all of Kings County, all of Annapolis County, all of Digby County, and the district of Argyle and Yarmouth County. So an example of some of the projects that we were successfully completed last year, the Annapolis River Guardians Monitoring Program, which I included the report card for. The Moose River Restoration, we removed a derelict dam on the Moose River last year in Clementsport. It was a 10 by 2 meter structure that had been abandoned for several years, and it's an Atlantic salmon spawning river, so we were pretty happy to take that out and restore the river to natural passage, and we're going to keep monitoring that for the next few years to see how many salmon we can catch in the next few years. Broken Brooks is what we call our aquatic connectivity program. So the basics is that we look at culverts throughout the region and try to assess if they're working properly. We have a partnership with Department of Transportation and Infrastructure Renewal for this project, and with Nova Scotia Salmon Association. We also conduct environmental home assessments, which I believe is on the front page of your website. And this is a program specific to septic systems, but also wells. And that program is actually coming to an end. It's going to be, we'll know more if it'll continue when the provincial budget gets announced. But this project that I'm proposing is a partnership with Nova Scotia Environment, and it's what we are trying to shape the environmental home assessment program to become. So it's a great opportunity. It's a pilot project to try to shape this program into something better. We also deliver EnerGuide for Existing Houses program. This is your home energy audits. So we have a contract to deliver that for Southwest Nova. And we're also heavily involved in a cooperative clam management project this year, which involves some of your citizens from in the Annapolis Basin, including the flats around here. Okay, so I'm going to speak specifically to the Rural H2O project now. So the goal is to foster behavioral changes in rural citizens to promote a healthy hydrological system and targeting selected home water use behaviors through community-based social marketing. So I'm going to talk specifically about what this community-based social marketing is in just a moment. So I was speaking that Nova Scotia Environment currently has the Environmental Home Assessment Program. So they, through a request for proposal about 6 years ago now, specific NGOs became delivery agents for this program, and CARP was one of them. So in order to participate, residents have to have no municipal water or sewage. So in other words, they usually have a well and a septic system, but not always. Sometimes, you know, they have straight pipe to ditch, or they have drinking from surface water or that sort of thing. It includes a free assessment, so an assessor comes on site and looks at your property, looks at your septic, and looks to see if there's obvious signs of malfunctions, looks at your well and looks if there's obvious signs of, you know, you should replace your cap, or, you know, it's just worn out, or I actually have no idea where it is. And there's incentives, so there's septic pumping rebates. Right now you can get a $100 pumping voucher that's good for 3 years if you participate in this program. And lower income households of 50,000 and less also become eligible to receive grants for repairing their septic systems. So we have the contract with Southwest Nova, but we actually deliver the Bay of Fundy side, and we share the South Shore side with a sister organization on the other side. So, like I was saying, that program is potentially coming to an end, and we have close ties with Nova Scotia Environment in the sense that, you know, they like the work that we're doing, and we like to provide services that please both our mission statement and obviously what government and municipalities are doing. So what we want to try to shape this program is to become more than just septic system incentives. We hear a lot that people would like it to have a focus on wells. We know that there's barriers to testing wells, like the cost of testing for bacteria, for chemicals, and the maintenance of wells itself also. And because we're also do environmental programs, we want to make sure that we also address things like stormwater. So there's a picture of a rain barrel here as an example of how you can manage stormwater on your property. And there's also the need for riparian buffer zones. So because there's a lot of water courses in our area, we need to encourage those, as well as water conservation. So the water assessments will become more holistic and more detailed. So they would include best management practices for how to run your water systems on your property, making sure you have the adequate separation distances. You know, we could GPS the location of your well and septic and have that in a printout for you so that you have that document, because a lot of people don't have any information about their systems at all. And then there'll be recommended actions to specifically address some of these concerns and reduce potential pollution, and obviously drinking water is related to health issues. So the methods that we are going to take are based on Dr. Doug Mackenzie Moore's. He calls it community-based social marketing. It's something that I received advanced training for in the last, about a month ago now. So I'm coming fresh out of a course, and I have a lot of, very inspired, I guess, and some of the stuff he has some really great examples of how this works, and it's basically, it's social science, and he's an environmental psychiatrist, excuse me, and this is the kind of methods that if you follow, you could, you know, publish papers in journals, and it's basically proven that it will work, and not just like spend money on a program that 2 years from now will become nothing and that sort of thing. So you want people to change their behaviors and maintain that behavior, not just change it temporarily while your program is running. So you want to have that long-term effect. So the first step is selecting behaviors. And I'm going to go through these briefly. The second is uncovering barrier and benefits. The third step is developing a strategy. And a lot of us, we like to come up with strategies right away, and sometimes we have ideas for strategies, but he really wants to enforce that you need to do step 1 and 2 before you come down to your final strategy. So some of the things I'm going to talk about, or that are in the proposal, sound like they're a strategy, but we are going to do step 1 and 2 to make sure that there's nothing that we missed before we pin down our strategy. Step 4 is piloting the strategy, which is very important to make sure that there's nothing that you missed, or any barriers or benefits that you might have not have thought of. And the last step is implementing broadly and evaluating. So the first step, selecting behaviors. You want to make sure they're end state behaviors, so things like repairing your well, for example. That's an end state, so you're that would be like the final step. It's not something you would do repeatedly, and they're not divisible behaviors, so they're not something that there's an extra step before you get to that step. So, you know, if it's testing your well, well, you actually have to know how to do that first, so there's an extra step there. And no strategies at this point. So, for example, that could come into this program would be have the homeowner sample private drinking water for bacterial and chemical parameters routinely. So you can even be really specific and say every 6 months for bacteria and every 2 years for chemical parameters, which is what Nova Scotia Environment recommends. Or have the homeowner hire a professional to pump out septic system every 3 years. So you try to make it as specific as possible so that there's not extra steps that could become a barrier to the participant. So the next step is uncovering barriers and benefits. So this can be done in a number of different ways. So literature searches, his website offers lots of different tools for how to do this kind of research. You can do simple observations by looking at what people are doing. You can do focus groups or surveys. We happen to have a database existing of all the clients that we've had for the Environmental Home Assessment Program. So we have existing list of contact information for people that we know would be interested in something like this, so we'll be able to make sure we have the proper barriers identified before we roll out this program. So for example, again, for our drinking water sampling, some of the barriers, we can come up with some of the barriers on our own sometimes, but you also have to make sure that they're the same ones as what the homeowners would think of. So for example, the cost of the test is likely to be a barrier. The person wouldn't know how to take their sample. That's a barrier, so there needs to be training in how to do that. There could be incentives on free water testing, for example. They don't know where to get their bottle or where to bring it once they've taken it. So all those things need to be, there's an educational component for sure. And they don't know how to interpret their results. I used to be an inspector with Nova Scotia Environment, so I can tell you that I got a lot of phone calls of people not knowing how to interpret their results. And, you know, it's fair enough, you know, it's not, some of these parameters, they're chemicals, they're different metals and things like that, and trying to figure out which ones are health parameters and which ones are aesthetics, so they're just there, but they're not gonna harm you. You know, there's definitely a learning curve to that stuff, so making sure that CARP is there to help you interpret your results and tell you where to go from there if you do have something that could be a potential health hazard. And some of the benefits, of course, are healthy drinking water, reducing illness, and people will be better aware what could be causing their bad results because they'll have a better awareness of what's going on their property. So the next step would be to develop the strategy, and these have come with some really fun tools that you can do. So things like prompts. These could be stickers or reminders in your daily life. So if we're talking about testing water, you might want to put it in your kitchen window where you could go get your glass of water every day, for example. Commitments are proven to work really well. So if you get somebody's signature on a piece of paper saying that I will do my test every 6 months, the person automatically, you get this sense of like, okay, I've committed to do this, and it doesn't just disappear in your conscious. And making those commitments visual, you can have your commitment on your prompt, like you can have somebody sign the sticker and then put the sticker on your window, and every time you go get your glass of water, you see that and it's your reminder. Incentives are definitely going to be part of this program. So for example, we want to have free water tests for your first one, and well repairs as well. Nova Scotia Environment wants to kick in to help pay for some well repairs. Norms is the other one, so this is, everybody else is doing it, so I want to do it too. Social diffusion is somebody tells you about it, so it's the word of mouth spreading it around in services or products. So these are the water assessments that we would propose to do. So the next step would be to pilot the strategy. So when I came back from this training, they had this great example of what I think this program could become if it goes as planned, and I'm pretty sure it will. But so they call it the River Star program. So maybe it could be the Water Star Home program or something like that. But anyways, basically you have this visual prompt in front of your lawn, and you basically commit to having this marker on your front lawn so that all your neighbors know and you know when you're coming in. And you also have this signed commitment that you are going to adhere to these 7 actions. And I think you get to pick from a list of actions that we want to target. So it would be like testing your drinking water, maintaining your well, pumping your septic system, maintaining your septic system, installing a rain barrel, planting trees for a buffer zone, installing low flow showers and taps. So those are kind of some of the examples that you sign off on. And then you become part of this program where you'd be, you know, a Water Star home or something like that. So incentives are a great tool to get people to participate in programs, but in order to get them to stay, to get their participation to be maintained and their behaviors to change in the long term, that's where you need the commitments and that sort of thing. So the visual prompts help a lot for this commitment. And obviously we have to evaluate, so how many assessments did we do? How many liters of water did we save? How many water test results do we have? How many commitments do we have signed? how many trees do we have planted and surviving. Those are all the kind of things that we can do to evaluate this kind of program. Okay, so I'd like the proposal that I have in here speaks a lot more detail than what I spoke to in the presentation. In the presentation, I really wanted to push the community-based social marketing because I think it's an excellent tool and it deserves some time on its own. But that said, this is a budget that I have prepared for the program. This would include things like, you know, the full assessments of the water systems. You could include finding out how deep your well is. So I have, like, you know, all the items are listed there. Like the chemical water tests are about $125 each. So, you know, they're not cheap for people that have that kind of barrier. Chemical water tests are about, I have 25, but I actually just heard they went up to 30. So, you know, there's real costs in delivering a program like this, but the goal is to have people be more aware of what their water systems are and maintain them and have healthy drinking water, healthy systems, and also to help protect the environment at the same time. Because as you can surely imagine, having a well that's not properly capped off, and if you have some kind of pollution on your grounds, whether it's fertilizers or septic or whatever, it can get into your well quite easily, and you know, the whole hydrological cycle, everything's connected there. So the request that I am making to council tonight is for $12,000 per year for 2 years. This type of program, as you can imagine, we would never be able to evaluate if it was successful within a year because it's complex and you want to make sure that you're doing it right. So we can't go in and rush a program over the summer and then evaluate over the winter how many people we had. So these kinds of things take time to make sure that they're done properly. And I guess it's a coincidence, but I want to point it out. I was reading your ICSP, is that what it's called? What year was this written? I couldn't find the date. 10, okay. Okay. I think that this kind of program would fit in really well with your goal. It's called EN 1.1 and also EN 1.2, and I'll read them off. Develop an educational brochure program for well and septic system safety and maintenance targeted at individual well and septic owners. And then you also have EN 1.2, which is establish it's for ensuring that residents have access to safe, clean drinking water and appropriate wastewater treatment facilities. So you might be targeting more of your systems people for that one, but this is a way for the municipality to consider having a program that would address drinking water issues as well as septic system programs. So, and we happen to be doing it. So I think it's a great opportunity for you guys to partner with us, and we'll also make sure that all our partners are involved in some of the planning process and decision making and that sort of thing. So.
Is there a question? Deputy Warden?
I noticed that you got 250 units that you're going to do, and you've got 4 municipalities. Are you going to divide that up equally between each municipality?
The goal would be to try to split things equally, yes.
Okay.
Especially if municipalities are putting in contributions, that would definitely be taken into account.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
The smart proponent, the 2010 plan. I will say that.
Well, I looked it up and I saw that and I said, oh my goodness, it's like pretty much what we were trying to do. So yeah, I'm not sure how that works, but you might be a potential check-off mark for you guys. So.
Just out of curiosity, so this is the whole watershed in the whole area, and it does all go towards the Annapolis River, does it, or the Bear River, or how does that work?
Well, our watershed we look at the Annapolis River watershed. Our mission statement is about the Annapolis River watershed. So that we start at the basin, so the Annapolis Basin, and then it converges into the Annapolis River and all. But the Bear River and the Moose River and Lakeel, all that stuff are part of.
I fish them all up and
Yeah.
around behind Annapolis a lot. So thanks.
Yeah.
I guess hopefully it's good for the fish. Everything you do.
Yes.
Again, we appreciate your presentation. It will not be looked at until budget time.
Okay,
We are starting to look at budgets and things now, but just, because we have to look at the whole,
yes.
everything.
Picture, for sure.
Um,
We can appreciate that a lot. Well, all our programs are funding dependent. We are 100% funding dependent, so, you know, we need contributions in order to make our programs, and a lot of our funding is budget dependent, so we can definitely appreciate that, and that's just the way it works.
So again, thank you so much.